That is the dumbest thing that we've done on this podcast yet.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
To everyone who wrote in, texted, came into the store to tell me how odd I sounded on last week's podcast, wait till you hear this week. Dal, how's it going?
It's going super great. We're both super sick.
Yeah. I am nothing if not a giver, and I have chosen to share my illness with Dal.
Yes.
So now he's at the point where his voice sounds weirder. Mine sounds better, I think, but not totally
Yours sounds fine.
bad. Yeah, it's fine. But I'll have to take your word for it because I really can't hear it. Because both, not one, not all three, both of my ears are infected.
That's too bad.
And I've never had an ear infection like this before, so
Sure.
I'm like, I think it's part of a sinus infection or something. And the doctor diagnosed it in seconds. So let's take a look. Yeah, that one's infected. Oh, yeah, that one's infected too. Yeah, you got both of them. So I said, how does this happen? And he said, and I quote, it just happens.
Super cool.
Maybe you had some moisture behind there. Maybe something got trapped. Like, in both? Because my question was, is this an onset of a cold? Is this the cold, because I've had a cold for the last 10 days. Sure. This is like, it just happens. And he said, we're taught in medical school that it's mainly little kids, but ever since I've been a doctor, it's equal amounts adults and children.
Weird.
Maybe more adults. And he said he himself even got an ear infection 10 years ago.
Wow.
But just one ear. So take that. They're vastly different symptoms per ear.
Yeah.
The left ear is a constant high-pitched ringing, like a tinnitus or I had my ear against the amplifier at the Anne Boleyn concert,
Sure.
which I did not do.
You did not. You're a careful adult who wouldn't do anything so reckless.
Yeah, a careful adult who has literally boxes of earplugs that he constantly forgets to bring to shows. Mm-hmm. And then the right ear is just completely closed off, like that whole underwater feeling.
That's not good.
So, Dal, what are your symptoms?
Sore throat, lack of energy. Sore throat's mostly on the way out now, which is nice. Sinus stuff is sort of starting, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally for me, and this, of course, is very comic-related, a cold starts in the throat, then it goes to violent coughing, and then it eases back through the throat again, and that's kind of its run.
Yeah.
Which, based on that, I should be done, but obviously I'm not done, and this is...
Probably just a couple more days.
So this is, I got 10 days of antibiotics.
Sure, but you'll see results quicker than 10 days.
Oh, man, I hope so. It's just I couldn't get the medication tonight because everything's closed, and
Right.
we're recording much later than normal because I was busy getting diagnosed.
That's true, too.
I do want to thank Donovan Challenger for this hot cinnamon sunset tea that I'm drinking right now.
Not the usual towering mountain of soda pop.
I haven't done that in months, Dal. This is years old, but you know how I don't believe in expiration dates.
Yes.
And it's tea.
Sure, what could go wrong?
I've been drinking it all week.
Have you been putting it in your ears?
No.
Okay.
What I have been doing, though, to shortcut it is just letting the tap get really hot. I have not been boiling the water.
Okay.
Because I don't have that kind of time. And then I've been dumping a bunch of honey into it. But I did not put honey into this one.
Oh.
And I have discovered that this brand of tea bag does not give you 2 mugs of tea.
Oh. That's disappointing.
Which made me question how Crowley from Moon Knight could exist on a tea bag for like a week at a time. All he would need is a mug of hot water at Gina's Diner.
Hmm.
Because he always had his own tea bag.
Weird.
And I'd assumed he was reusing it because he's frugal.
Maybe he has a different tea bag that he brings each day.
I mean, maybe, but where's he getting his tea from? It's never been discussed.
Hopefully Jed McKay will follow up on that in a upcoming Moon Knight storyline.
I don't know. He doesn't seem to be using a lot of the
He's saving it.
previous supporting cast. They always, Bill Sienkiewicz specifically, always drew Crowley with flies always buzzing around him to show that he was, dirty, unclean,
Weird.
homeless man.
Okay.
Not a robot. Not a human robot.
Gotcha.
But in our instances, the homeless people that we interact with, or potentially homeless people,
Sure.
seem to be far more... I can't think of the right way to say it without sounding like a complete dick, but more mentally unstable
Sure.
than a charming, dirty man with a teabag.
Yes.
We had a person in, and this, it's part of owning a store, is not necessarily attempting to control who does or doesn't come into your store.
Right.
And there have been plenty of times where people that, on first look, you think, oh, this person is either homeless or just killing time or doesn't know where they are, winds up buying stuff.
Sure.
But then there are the times right away when you know, oh no, the next 20 minutes of your life is just going to be you following this person around.
Yeah, it's the worst part of the job. Is
Yeah.
having to basically be loss prevention, where you're just staring at a monitor, waiting for somebody to do something that's going to get them kicked out of the store, which means you have to confront them, or waiting for them to leave, which could take a while.
And you're ignoring other people in the store that need your attention.
Right.
And the last couple times this has happened, it's been with people who aren't stealing to steal.
No.
This week it was...
They frequently don't seem to know where they are or what's happening.
Yeah, they don't know what they're taking. And the last two times, this week included, it's just a stack of what's in front of them.
Right.
This person this week took just like a pile of coloring books from Sidekicks.
Sticker books, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
But they were all the same one.
Yeah.
And when they got to the door, and this is almost a mirror image of the last time, Molly Jane yelled, "Hey, you didn't pay for those." Mm-hmm. And I was right at the counter, so I went up to the person and grabbed the books. But each time the person just lets me take them.
Right.
And then this guy stood.
We had the door open, I should mention,
Yeah.
because it was a nice day out.
Yeah.
So this is later in the day, we had the door open. So, Patrick takes the books back from this guy, and this guy is just standing on the other side of the threshold.
And I'd say he's staring at me, but he wasn't, because his eyes were messed up, and both his eyes were going wildly to one side.
Okay.
So, looking directly into his face, you're just seeing the whites of his eyes and a little bit of
That's weird.
pupil of it was honestly out of a horror movie.
Yeah, that's weird.
And it is an image that I keep seeing in my head, and
no.
I don't like it.
No.
Because what else is he doing, Dale?
Smiling.
Big grin.
Smiling.
Big toothy smile.
Not saying anything.
No.
Not interacting in any way. Just
And I kept saying,
smiling.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah.
You gotta go. And he's fully in the doorway, and I'm fully in the doorway. Like, you gotta go. And he's not acknowledging me. He's not moving. He's not doing anything. And then I finally had to do a thing which I don't want to have to do.
Right.
I had to push him.
Yeah. Because he was just standing there.
But as soon as I pushed him, he immediately moved in the direction I was pushing him.
Uh-huh.
And I just pushed him away from the door. Then he walked a few feet and just stood in front of the store for the next, 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And to anybody who's leaving, I'm like, man, I really hope you're turning right and not left.
He was smoking at one point, which is interesting.
Yeah, he did then start moving and, yeah. Not a fun experience.
No, it was really weird.
Every time there's a pause, it's me taking a sip of my hot cinnamon sunset. And Dal not drinking tea.
It's harder for me to fill the space because the more I talk, the more I'm probably going to be coughing. So I got to kind of Be a little more measured.
Picked a hell of a time to deliberately stop editing these episodes, haven't I?
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I said I wasn't going to edit them anymore, but then I had Will Moss and Haley on back-to-back, and I definitely edited those to try to make them sound far more professional than myself, which they don't need my help. And then last week I edited a bunch because there was so much coughing from me. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get it all out.
No.
But I got a bunch of it. But then I know there's points where I referred to, like, me saying, I'm not going to edit those coughs out, when in fact I did. So people heard me say I'm not going to edit those coughs, to which there were no coughs.
Unbelievable. What a liar.
I know.
People can't even trust this podcast anymore.
Nope. I don't think I'll edit much, if anything, this time, because we are hours behind.
Yes.
And that being said, I'm going to cough. Oh wow, I activated Siri. Sorry. Siri started repeating that I was coughing. So I laughed. Wow.
That one was me.
Copycat. All right.
That one was Dal.
My goodness.
Uh-huh.
Dal, it's the end of the month. It's actually a new month for people listening.
True.
So there will be, in fact, patron thanks yous somewhere in this episode.
Well,
and for eagle-eared listeners, no, let's not say that. What's an animal known for its hearing? Bat?
Bats.
For bat-eared listeners, you will notice one of our patrons who has a nickname has a new nickname, and it has been changed in the thank yous. So we'll see if anybody can pick it up, and if I remember, I probably won't.
Is this a nickname they were given, or they gave themselves?
They were not given it by us.
Can't give yourself a nickname, Patrick.
They were not given it by us.
You don't think I wanted to give myself a nickname?
Ace?
Hammer. Can't give myself a nickname. Also, that one's taken. Hank Aaron.
A little sports night there, everybody.
You could be a different tool. Pliers?
Oh, what a good show that was.
Robert Guillaume. The best show he ever did. There, I'll say it.
No, I'm not going to argue with you. Did you want me to get that? That was his famous line when he was Benson.
Oh, sorry, I know him from Sports Night.
I didn't do it in his voice,
Mm.
but I still wanted to play in your sandbox.
Thank you. I wonder if Sports Night's on a streaming service. I should check. Not that I necessarily want to rewatch the whole thing, but, just
sure
to know.
I have them all on my computer.
Not the same.
Okay, not the same at all. That's fair. So, yeah, someone will have a new nickname.
Okay.
But what I was getting at was, since I had a little bit of time to kill, I did the monthly totals.
Yes.
And
were they great?
No.
Oh, no.
No. We are continuing our downward trend versus
all right.
2021.
Great.
Which was an anomaly year, I think, for everybody's businesses for the most part.
It's certainly looking that way.
We were down a little bit. Let me just say that if we got to finish out the week, we could have come close if we did a repeat of last weekend.
Okay.
If we did a repeat of last weekend, we totally would have beaten it.
Sure.
But that's not fair.
Sure.
So we didn't. Also, let's not forget that
it doesn't include any of this week's online sales.
Yeah, online sales don't get added up until Sunday, so it's missing
which are
that,
substantial.
But, however, it did, we say, it doesn't include those from this week, but it included the ones from
the first week of the month.
Yeah. So it balances out.
Yeah.
Down a tiny amount.
Okay.
Down less than this many thousand.
Okay.
And we are still up for the year.
Mm-hmm.
The number is getting smaller time, but we're up this many thousand.
Okay.
Which is basically flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give or take. But, I mean, it's enough of a cushion to keep us within striking distance of last year's total.
That's good.
Just because the top half of the year was so well. It's just that, statistically, we're entering into the worst 2 months of the year for sales.
Yeah, I mean, October is usually going to see a bit of a downturn because the weather's going to change and releases get a little slimmer. And then November, eventually we'll get like a wintry day and everyone's going to lose their minds again.
Yeah, but Novembers are usually bad.
Yeah.
Bad months.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see what happens this year. There's always the chance that like some release will make it worthwhile. Saga Volume 10 comes out this week.
That's true.
That's something.
We have a lot of those coming.
We do. Not as many as we did for 9, maybe. But a lot.
I think it's still people are learning that Saga is a thing.
Well, it doesn't help that they came back for 6 months after being gone for over 3 years and then immediately were on hiatus until 2023.
I honestly think this is their new pattern.
Absolutely.
6 months on, 6 months off, 6 months on, 6 months off.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seems like they are not going to be doing the shorter hiatuses between arcs. Probably going to be doing it this way for the next 9 years.
Yeah, which makes you believe, like, they told us they were working on it often. Not nonstop, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I Hate This Place is also taking a break till next year.
Yes.
They finished their arc.
Yep.
Pretty funny. Our very good friend.
They finished in a great way, though.
Oh, I agree. And set up great stuff for the second.
Man.
Like, I feel that this was a way that if they didn't get a second arc, it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
But once they knew they were getting a second arc, like, all right, let's start dropping clues about what's happening.
The last couple of pages very much felt like you do get a second arc.
Yeah, for sure. So, longtime friend of the store and voice of the beginning and ending of this podcast, James Van Osdol, was in today.
Yeah, how's he doing?
He's doing good. He did his whole, like, come on, tell me something. So we're walking the racks, and I pitched I Hate This Place, but of course, we don't have one.
Yeah, of course.
Every book that he was interested in that I pitched, we didn't have the first one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we go look at the new releases. He's like, let's go look at the new releases. And I go, all right. He goes, oh, that doesn't sound encouraging. I'm like, I don't know what's there for you this week. But he sees, Fuck This Place. He's like, oh, that looks good. What is that? I'm like, that's the one I just pointed out to you over there. That's the other cover.
Of the one that we don't have issue 1 for.
That's just the adult title for it. And I kind of love the fact that he was way more into it when it was called Fuck This Place.
Sure. It's a great title.
It's also a great cover.
It is.
It's a good cover for the final issue.
Yeah.
I'm always a little let down, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Hard Eyes #2 came out this week.
Yes.
Did you read it?
I did.
Great.
So great.
Completely changes the story. Completely changes everything you thought you knew from the first issue.
Oh, man.
And we have a ton of it on the shelf.
That's how it works, Patrick.
That is how it works.
That's how it works.
There was an article that David Harper put out on Sketched.com this week about attrition between 1 and 2 because it was a thing that Bruno Batista, I don't know if he's a deacon or not, from Big Bang Comics in Ireland, or for Ireland.
I do prefer the second pronunciation, yes.
Was telling Dave about it, and so he wanted to do a piece on it, and he interviewed me, and mine was, my answers were realistic but bleak, because this is a thing that we've been complaining about for years, also, pre-pandemic.
Realistic but bleak is basically your brand.
I mean, is it my brand, or is it just
it is. One of the things that I think about a lot when we talk about things like attrition is, if anything, we do too good a job of selling issue 1s, and I know it sounds like such a weird humble brag, but we do keep a selection of first issues for books that we really love by the front counter, and people are constantly picking those up, or when people are in from out of town, they're like, oh, I didn't know about this, or we'll pitch people on stuff at the register. But the problem is the follow-through. Like, they have to read it and love it enough to come back and go, hey, I read that Hard Eyes. Is issue 2 out?
Yeah, we can't remember everyone we sold Hard Eyes 1 to.
Right. So what's going to happen is the odds of them actually reading issue 1 before issue 2 comes out and remembering to buy it are very, very low. More often than not, people are going to buy those copies, in the weeks between issues 1 and issue 2. It's going to sit on a pile. They're going to read it 2 months from now, and they're going to be like, hey, whatever happened to that Hard Eyes? And it's like, cool, we're club only because no one bought issues 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you can get the trade now. Like, there will always be a number of people that we can really easily pitch an issue 1 to that we then don't have the momentum to sell them 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Now, we do sell better on like a 2 and a 3 than we would have normally because we will have people added on Managed Comics, come in for issue 2, whatever. But it's still like a big drop between 1 and 2. It's always going to be.
Yeah, and also, we ordered Modern on 1 and then immediately reordered, and you snuck that in right before it sold out, which was great timing on your part. And so we had 1s for a while. We probably still do. I haven't checked. But
I think we've got a couple.
Because of that, we ordered up on 2.
Sure. I mean, we didn't order the same number as issue 1, but we ordered, assuming that like, just to throw numbers out, these are not necessarily the numbers that we ordered. If we ordered 15 copies of issue 1 and then we did a reorder for 10 more copies of issue 1 for 25 copies altogether, we probably ordered 17 or 18 copies of issue 2.
Right.
So more than we initially ordered for issue 1, but not total what we ordered for issue 1.
But then when you see how many stacks of both covers are still available
we
on
probably
the
could
shelf.
have ordered 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a little disheartening.
And I mean, that said, it's only 2 days into the sales for issue 2, so this is not, nail in a coffin or anything, but...
3, but okay.
Yeah, you're right, it is Friday. I had not...
Dal, you're delirious. I
am delirious. I did a lot of work today, and I'm sick.
Are you saying I didn't do any work today?
I'm saying you did, too.
Did you see those numbers today?
You're allowed to be delirious. I know, I forgot what I said.
It's weird to me how much more talkative I need to be when I'm ill. Mm-hmm. Because people just, sense it and hone in on it.
Yeah.
And then they talk to you in really quiet voices and ask if you have this manga called Toilet Bound Hanoko.
Are you sure it was a quiet voice? Maybe it was an actual normal speaking voice and your infected ears are just, muffling it down to next to nothing.
It's a combination of the two.
Trimming it by dozens of decibels.
When I was at the doctor on Monday, fruitlessly, all this, that's when my ears first started jamming up. In sharp, stabbing pains. Their parking lot was under construction. Mm-hmm. So every time they were trying to say something, the receptionist trying to talk to me, you hear the loud jackhammering, and I had to keep saying, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Mm-hmm. My ears are fully blocked up, and I can't hear you." But I'm always worried about our follow through and sales follow through and keeping up with things like that.
I mean, it's hard enough to pitch issue 1s without also having to pitch follow up issues as well.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
I did go to pitch Ant-Man to JVO. He'd already read it. I went to pitch 8 Billion Genies, which obviously we do not have 1s of at all. Not even third prints.
They're going back to press.
And he'd already gotten that from me last time he was around. But when you look at some of those books that we were in love with and ordered high on, 8 Billion Genies #1.
Yes.
No chance. Do a Power Bomb #1. All we have is our cover,
right?
Which I need to dig more out because there's no more on the shelf.
Oh, there should be a bunch on the bottom shelf of the first issue section.
Okay, I'll look at that tomorrow. My eyes don't go down that low now.
Understood.
And if not, I'm sure there's more somewhere else.
Yeah.
I Hate This Place #1. We're out of.
Yeah.
But it was 4 months ago it came out.
Yeah,
we don't order to keep things in stock for 4 months.
I don't generally anymore reorder comics. If we sell out of something, if someone needs it for a special order, I'll order a copy. But
we don't reorder for the shelf, is what you're saying.
Yeah, if we sell out of a book off the shelf, even if it's the first week now, fine. By the time we get it back in stock, I don't know if anyone's going to care.
Yeah.
It was different when we could get stuff from Diamond. It would be in 3 days. If we did a reorder for a comic on Sunday, it'd probably be in by that Wednesday, and we'd have the second week sales. Now it's if we do it through PRH, maybe it gets in by the end of the week, so you've missed that second Wednesday's worth of people. If it's from Lunar, it's going to be maybe 2 weeks. If it's Diamond, it's basically just Image, and if we sold out of it, it means Image probably sold out of it as well because it's a hot #1 or whatever. Yeah. So it doesn't line up right for us to do those sort of weekly reorders.
Yay! My prescription is ready at Walgreens right now.
I'll go get it if you want.
You won't get it there in time.
9 minutes? Sure, I could.
No, you'd be wasting your time.
I will seriously get up and go right now.
Dal, we are in the middle of a very important podcast.
You're sick, Patrick.
How often do I put the welfare of the customer above my own?
You don't have to, though, is what I'm saying.
You expect me to fill for... No. I'll just get it
Can you
tomorrow
just
morning.
can you just hit pause or something?
I can't even reach. Look at that.
I would really do this. I
know you
I
would.
gladly
You
go
don't-
over there
you
and
don't
get your
have to.
medicine so you
You're
can
sick too.
You can live.
I'll live another day. I'll just have another horrible, horrible night. Nope, stay there. Wow, he won't even get up for me. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here.
I will gladly go.
No, now it's 7 minutes. You'll never make it in 7 minutes.
I'm gonna go.
No, don't do it. That is the dumbest thing that we've done on this podcast yet. And who's to say I'll leave it in? I don't know. Who's to say that I stop recording? Not me, because I'm going to keep going. If there's one thing I can do for Dow while he's doing this for me, is to not have him have to come back and repeat this much more of the podcast recording on his end. So we won't do it. We're just not gonna. But I wanted to dig back into more of the books that I was reading this week, and as I was reading them, I thought, you should really write these titles down so you can talk about them when the time comes, when you can say to people, like, yeah, Hard Eyes 2. The stack of books, so because the books come from different distributors, they come at different points during the week. I can tell you now that today is September 30th. As of September 29th, in the store, we already have next week's Marvel books, DC books, IDW books, and like Kodansha, Seven Seas, maybe one or two other manga companies. Those have already been delivered because of how everything shakes out. We won't have everything else, the books we get from Diamond, that is, until Tuesday of next week, including the Saga Trade Paperback Volume 10, including Image books and Dark Horse books and other publisher books, your Vaults, your Aftershocks, your AWAs. So that stuff is already all at the store. And it's harder for me as a retailer and a reader to remember when things come out, because I've already read a lot of next week's Marvel books. And to me, that means they've already come out, because I have them. But, it's research for my job. So when we get to next Wednesday, and I'm working on the Penguin Random House invoices for the next week, I'm constantly thinking the books that are on the invoice I'm dealing with are what's new this week when they're new next week. And they're the ones that show up days early. So I never know what books are out when, and that's frequently why I will have to, we have the two different monitors at different points in the store, one by the front counter, one over the new releases, that tell you what's new for the week. It doesn't tell you variant covers, it just tells you, Amazing Spider-Man number 10, or Batman the Night 9, or whatever. It won't say covers A through D. There's no room for that. There's too many covers. We break it down, as I'm sure most of you know, by graphic novels, which we've renamed books, manga, Marvel, DC, Image, other publishers, new number ones, sidekicks, merchandise. Those are the categories we use. Often it seems that sidekicks is only used maybe twice a month, maybe 2 weeks out of the month. There will be sidekicks books next week. So it's making me wonder if we should just do away with that heading entirely, since it's only ever 1 or 2 books, or if we should put all of the younger reader graphic novels under sidekicks on the board, because, like I said, we just broke out manga a few weeks ago, and there's a ton of manga every week now. So much so that our shelves are overflowing, and we're doing a thing that we've never done before, and I hate that we do it, but we have no choice, is we have overstock in the back room. Overstock manga for volumes that we have multiple volumes of that there's no room on the shelf. And because of the haphazard way things arrive, today we got 2 different UPS orders, same driver, but an order at the beginning of the day, order at the end of the day. And in that was orders from Hachette and Penguin Random House, a lot of next week's Marvel graphic novels and things. Other pub graphic novels for next week. And then later in the day, via the USPS, we got Simon & Schuster. So, all different... And I'm not even going to talk about the normal thing that I hate about. One Simon & Schuster box was 4 different books, which is 3 different PO numbers in one box. I mean, that's just the way it works. That's the stuff that we've been dealing with for a year now, trying to figure out how to manage it. And all we're doing is keeping on top of it, not fully understanding a better way to do it. But because of the way those shipments came, poor Gina had to rearrange the manga section twice today because we had to fit in everything that came in the first shipments. And then everything that came in the second shipments was also the front half of the alphabet where she had just rearranged everything because the shelves are so tight. So tight that if we have 2 volumes of My Hero Academia Volume 14, one of them goes in back because we need that extra book space for another new volume. And it's causing us to have to do away with some of our manga experimentation. There was a point once we had adjusted to not only the 4 shelving units, but we added a 6th shelf. Excuse me, a 6th shelf to each unit, so we had all this extra room. So we're like, yeah, let's be bold. Let's get a lot of newer stuff. Well, a lot of the newer stuff isn't going, and it's just the old mainstays. It's far and away Viz, and it's stuff that we need multiple volumes of that takes up the most amount of room. You know, we're ordering Akira all the time. We're ordering Berserk all the time. I know I said mainly Viz, and those are both Kodansha and Dark Horse, but you get the point. There's a lot of... And we want to sell in-depth in manga, of course, but it's a matter of where does it fit? You know, we put Heartstopper, which is not a manga, but kind of looks like it, in the YA section, but when Heartstopper was in Sidekicks, we gave it a full 2-foot shelf for all 4 volumes, and we could, you know, stack up to like 5 copies per on the shelf. We can't do that in the YA section. We could barely fit one of each sideways. Were we able to get all of them at one time, which we are not. So that's not a problem we have to deal with currently. But manga is so stuffed, and Marvel Legends, now they're coming out so fast and so many of them that we have boxes of Thor Love and Thunder in storage and in the back room. We just got in the was it the Apocalypse Wave? Who was the... Man, I can't even remember. Last week we got in a new wave of Marvel Legends with... I don't know who the Build-A-Figure was. Anyway, we had immediately put a bunch of those in the back room this week because we just got the Disney Plus wave in with all of the TV show characters. So we got a couple of cases of those, so those need room somewhere. And this stuff always goes. Even the weirdest, most obscure pop vinyl or Marvel Legend will go, but they take time. And you heard us talk a couple of weeks or months ago about how we were doing every pop, at least at the 6-figure minimum, to get the price break. Well, that price break doesn't necessarily exist anymore from other distributors other than Diamond. Prices on pops have gone up way too high recently, so some of the pops are now like $13, $14.99. Marvel Legends, we're holding steady at like $30, $31, but that's cutting into our cost when you consider that there's shipping on top of their raised prices as well. And shipping costs fluctuate greatly, so... And I don't blame people for either being tired or waiting. Marvel Legends, Hasbro released a rumored list. Dow found a rumored list of Marvel Legends for the next year. And of course it's massive. And it's so many different things. And I don't know that we've ordered them in advance. In the last couple of years, we placed our orders well in advance with Southern Hobby. Hold tight, please, while I take a sip. It gets a lot more cinnamony to the bottom of the mug. I'm also drinking out of a vertical Sal Buscema embossed Captain America mug. And actually, that is a John Buscema. Actually, it looks like a John Buscema inked by a Sal. No, it's a Sal Buscema inked by John Romita. That's why I was confused. So the point is, the tea bag can't hit the bottom of the mug without losing the tag into it the more I drink. I need it, though. I need it for my throat. So we have to stock stuff in the back room, and we hate doing that. And we were never a store that did that. And when people would say, do you have any more of this in the back? We would laugh and go, what back? We don't have anything in the back. Now we have stuff in the back. And more than that, we have to pay attention when we sell a thing and think, is there one more of these in the back? To go get it. And that is not a thing we were used to doing the first 14 or so years that we were open. So, yeah, man, everything, the store to me feels cluttered. The fact that we have stuff on top of every single back issue, not back issue, every single graphic novel shelf, it's a lot of stuff. Granted, a lot of the superhero and manga shelves are covered with storage boxes, the decorative storage boxes, because we have so many of those right now. We want to put them on display so people can see them on display and see what the images are. They sell way better built than when they are flat. But in doing so, we don't have the room to build our non-graphic image versions of those. And then, because we get books so far in advance, they have to go somewhere. So we used to put them on top of the graphic novel shelves. So there's not a room for that now. There's Captain America shields and, giant Voltrons and aforementioned boxes and just other weird oversized statues and things. And it makes me a little bit anxious to see how cluttered the store is, because I don't like it being cluttered. But at the same time, I like having that much variety available for people to buy. And I like the fact that we have a Sam Wilson Captain America shield available for someone to buy, right? That kind of stuff always stands out to me in comic shops. I'm not buying them, but I like that we have them. And it's possible we start carrying AEW wrestling figures in the future. Probably not, because we don't really have space dedicated to that. And while we don't sell specific AEW comic books, we sure do talk about it a lot, especially in the store. And we'll be watching Rampage later tonight. That's just the way it works. In fact, in an hour or so. So it's a fine line between... remember we used to have chairs and couches and tables in the kids' room and all that kind of stuff? All that space has been taken up by product. And even if we felt that it was okay to put the chairs back because people are used to the pandemic or what have you, we can't. They're just crammed in a garage somewhere because all that space is taken up by product. We couldn't have 4 new manga shelves if we had chairs and tables out. It's frustrating. And you like to think, oh, we're moving this stuff closer toward the idea of the holiday season, so the stuff will be bought. And by the time the holidays come and go, you're surprised at the things you sell out of and the things you don't. And every once in a while, you're like, oh, remember we had that giant foam Thor hammer for like $350? We sold that. We sold the giant foam Batarang, which I think people think is more decoration. And it was. It was bought for decoration, but we wouldn't mind selling it. Hell, we wouldn't mind selling Batman or Deadpool either, the big stuffed ones of those. Wolverine, though, we're keeping her. Wolverine is, of course, dressed up for Halloween. She is in costume as the Wolverine as someone else. You can see that in the store. And as we get closer to the holiday season, things are progressing on that. Here, my voice is starting to go right now, right? Hold on. Things are progressing on the front of all the holiday-themed things we do, and Gina and I were doing some of it in the store today, because the things we're doing this year take a lot of extra time, but they mean something to us, and the subscriber gift is being hand-assembled, and the custom Christmas card we've approved the initial sketch, and it's insane, and it is ridiculous, and we love it. And this is the thought that we put into things so far in advance to make sure the timing works out and everything is fine. And this year's subscriber Christmas gift has three physical components that needed to be purchased, one component that needed to be outsourced and designed. So we hired an artist for that, and then it needs to be assembled, and it needs to be assembled in 2 different rounds. So we're working on round 1. We're not quite halfway through round 1, and then once the, I guess, 4th bought component, but also the design component arrives next week, we'll start doing that as well. So it's just so many hours and hours and hours of love and care that goes into this for you. But it's stuff we have to start thinking about so far in advance. And we do it because that's all we know how to do. Dal, I was talking about working on this year's Christmas stuff, i.e. and Dal leaves now. He's fed up. He's back, and now he's gone. He's like, Christmas? Bah humbug. Right? Isn't that exactly what you said?
Yeah. The microphone didn't pick it up?
No, it didn't. It was facing toward me.
I ran there.
Did you really?
I really did.
Wow. And it is 8:09. Did you make it?
Yeah.
Did they close?
No.
No, they're open until 10.
Yeah.
But the pharmacy closes at 8. So
yeah, they were still there.
Nice. Thanks, Dal.
Uh-huh.
Everybody, let's hear it for Dal. Hip, hip, Dal! Hooray!
So now when Patrick doesn't die tomorrow when he goes back to work, you'll know why.
I have to go back to work tomorrow?
Sorry. That's why I ran.
I don't know that he remembers this, but literally earlier this week, on Tuesday night, I said, hey man, I don't think I'm going to go in tomorrow. I think I need a day to try to sit home and knock this out.
Yeah.
And Dal turned to me and said, I'm sick too. Which I took as, you don't get to not come in.
That's not what I meant. You know that.
I didn't, because you said it in like,
that.
you were so kind of angry about it.
No, I wasn't angry.
So I came in and did not want to be there.
Oh, you should
And I
have come
mentioned
in.
it to 2 other people. I'm sure you heard me say, Dal wouldn't let me not come in.
That's definitely not the case.
That's I honestly took it as that.
I would not have had any problem whatsoever. I was a little surprised that you were willing to go in on Wednesday. When
I
you said
wasn't
you weren't
willing.
going to.
You said I had to.
I did not.
Gun to your head.
That is your interpretation of events.
I mean, all I gave for the last 15 minutes was my interpretation of events.
Okay.
20 minutes or so? I don't know. Look, everybody, Dal got another podcast vacation. Did you enjoy it?
15 minutes, I did.
Yeah. For everybody who's wondering, Taskmaster Season 14 started yesterday.
How is it?
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's more than everything I wanted for this season.
2 Dara O'Briens?
I love it so much. Dara O'Brien is so into puzzles and games and things. Whenever he screws up, he's just mad at himself.
Huh.
There's a point that Greg's like, Dara, are you angry? Are you upset? He's like, not with you, not with the show, not with the task, not with the puzzles. No, just with me and my performance.
He expected better of himself.
And it's so, like, endearing, because everybody else is just like, fuck this and fuck you, Alex, and I hate this and you're stupid.
Yeah, the task was unfair, et cetera, et cetera.
The first task they showed is impossible.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, you see their head come up through a hole in a box.
Okay.
Because there's like a GoPro in this box.
Okay.
So you just see a close-up of their head. From the outside, they're all wearing a giant box with their face on it.
Oh, okay.
But it's the front, the sides, the top, and the back, right?
Okay, sure.
So they have these giant box heads.
Yes.
And they walk into the lab, and the lab is, there's a table with 8 different stations.
Okay.
And so they're handed a task, and each person is like, what am I... Can you read this for me, Alex? Alex like, oh, sure. Sarah Milken's like, did you want to just stick it in the slot on the top? Or... so it was... What 10 movies are you in? Most movies named correctly wins. Your time starts now. So each station had clues to puns or wordplay, and they had to only feel and guess what they were.
Wow.
For example, the first one was, and I don't want to give too much away because people are going to watch it, a stuffed U, EWE.
Okay, got it.
And a toy archery set.
Okay.
What movie is that?
No idea.
What are the two things?
A U and a bow?
What's another name for you?
A ram?
Put them together.
Rambo. Okay.
And that was one of the easy ones.
Yeah, wow.
Alex himself was one of the clues.
Okay.
So there were 8 stations, but there were 10 possible movies.
Wow.
And they themselves were a clue.
Wow.
Nobody got all of them. Somebody got 8.
Wow, that's amazing.
Which is amazing. It was 3 to 8. But I mean, it was so elaborate and so ridiculous.
Yeah.
If it was a tool that you would use for the sport golf, covered in cornflakes,
I don't know.
I don't want to. I know people who listen to this will be watching, so I won't say anything.
Sure, that's fair.
But I thought that it was a very complex task.
The
other task, you're up here on an archway in an airport. There's a toilet, open toilet seat down on the concourse. You have 12 rolls of toilet paper. Without leaving the spot, get as much toilet paper in the bowl as you can.
Wow.
So, like, some of them are mind-numbingly complex. Others are basic A to B simple.
Sure.
Like, what is the trick to getting toilet paper into... You just gotta throw it.
Just gotta throw it. I mean, it's just a physical activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have people applying physics, people...
Sure, I mean, some people will try and overthink it. Where
yeah,
they'll be like,
for sure.
What else can I do with these rolls to increase my chances of success? Some people are just going to throw them, and it's like, what I got in.
I had a workaround, which nobody did, but I don't know if it would have been legal or not.
Only one way to find out?
There is no way. I mean, I'll never know. I gotta ask little Alex Horn.
Maybe if you get a chance to ever do that task, like the universe aligns in some way to give you a shot at it, then you'll have to find out.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
It's a great... Oh, the tea bag just dumped in. That's what I was talking about before. How
oh, no.
It's too long of a mug. Very cinnamony though. So now I was telling people about all the stuff we were already working on for Christmas.
Yes.
Which shouldn't surprise anybody because it's October and we are well underway.
Yep.
And very happy with the card.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the sketch.
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gift is coming along nicely.
Excellent.
The final component for that should be in on Wednesday.
Cool.
It's a new month, and it's now time to thank our Patreon supporters, including our annual patrons, Becca Hilburn and Joseph Coco, Brent Helt, Dal's mom, Diane Bush, Philip Sablik from Boom Studios, Jose Villagomez, Josh Crowley of Westfield Comics, our bestest wrestling watching pal, Michael Lee, Michael Romanenko, Mike Loveday, our patrons who have created their own tier, Andrew, Drew Troit Comics, Aaliyah, Bridget K. Neville, Chris Burton, Claudine Neville, our other generous patrons from the Say My Name pledge level, Arun Singh, Ben-Hur Benedict Calaguas, Bradley Rader, Braden, Manage Comic Zone, Brian Garside, Christopher Haith, President of the Brian Garside Fan Club, Django Boren, Drew Triner and Ashley Edwards, Challengers Reservist, Fallon Mackerline, my brother George Brower, Heidi D., Jacob Sorelli of Kamikaze, Jason Wood from 11 O'Clock Comics, Josh Trigg, Mark Hammond of Aw Yeah Comics, Margie, Keith, Logan, and Malcolm Springham, Marcuson Nasso, Matt Armstrong, Mitchell Davies of All Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia, Morgan Dynamite Perry, Nick Baldwin, my longtime pal Robert Burns, Ron Payne, Ryan Hecht, Sean Bowers, Tad Eggleston and Johnny Williams, Thomas Nagovin of Century Guild, Walt Grogan. And if you want to hear your name thanked on this very podcast once a month, head over to patreon.com/challengers and pledge at the $5 Say My Name level. And a big thank you to all our other patrons at the various other pledge levels. There's been... so, Dow, you were on vacation recently. And what did you read mostly whilst you were on the train?
Giant Days. It was so good.
How did you do it?
I got a 1-month subscription to Kindle Unlimited, I think, or Comixology Unlimited, or both of them. And I just borrowed 16 volumes of Giant Days, read them, and then I canceled my subscription.
Okay, so it's available on Comixology.
Yeah.
Man, while you were gone, I took no notes because I didn't want to stop. I couldn't write and talk at the same time.
Sure.
I could, but it'd just be gibberish.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know that I can. Let me just see if I can. I'm going to try to write Giant Days while still talking to you.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
So you said that you got it from Kindle.
Yeah.
So that means it's definitely on a streaming service.
Yeah.
Okay, now it came out just fine. That's because I assumed I'd be looking at you and talking at you, and I wouldn't be looking at the paper.
Yep.
But looking at the paper, I can write it just fine.
Yeah. You can do 2 tasks simultaneously.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sick. So have you heard about...
Their Kickstarter?
Yeah.
I did, yeah. So one of the things that happened when I finished reading Giant Days and realizing it's one of the favorite things I've ever read, I was like, well, I should own this, shouldn't I? Oh, well, they do the hardcovers, they're not on the test editions. Well, there's only 3 of them, and they never did the rest of the series, so I don't know if I want to get these 3. And then it turns out they're doing a Kickstarter for brand new editions of the entire series in hardcover, including the other 4 not on the test editions.
So there's, what do you say, 16 volumes?
So it's 14 main volumes plus 2 collections of, one called Early Registration, which was the stuff that John Allison wrote and drew himself before Boom got a hold of it.
Yeah.
And then another one called, I can't remember what the other one is, but it's a collection of like the stories that were in like the Boom holiday specials.
Final Exam or something
anthologies, like things like that. Something.
Okay.
I can't remember what the other volume was called.
So there's 16 volumes, 14 plus 2.
Yeah. So I think in this, what they're doing is I think they're taking some of that material and putting it in other locations. So I think I don't know how many volumes this is going to be.
Okay, my question was, how many hardcovers, then what are the not on the test editions?
The not on the test editions were like their library editions, or like they would do
like
hardcover collections for Lumberjanes or whatever. Where I think it just amounts to like 2 softcover volumes is 1 hardcover volume.
Okay.
So I think it's 7 is what they're planning for the not on the test edition hardcovers, which are only slightly larger. Molly Jane and I had almost an argument about this. They're slightly larger than regular graphic novel size.
Yeah.
But it's mostly because of the thickness of the hardcover.
Oh, okay.
So the pages inside are the same size as regular graphic novel size. But the book itself is like taller by a fraction of an inch. I believe the Kickstarter editions they're doing are the same size. I don't think they're altering the dimensions in any way. They're just giving you the option of, if you already bought the 3 not on the test edition hardcovers, you can get the remaining 4 volumes in that trade dress only through this Kickstarter. Or you can get the all-new trade dress for everything.
Did you look at any of the prices?
I did. My money is real tight up right now.
Yeah.
So the $180 it would cost me to get all of the new editions in hardcover, I just can't do it right now. I wish I could, but it would literally just be something that would go on a bookshelf because I read them all a month ago.
Yeah. What about
sorry guys,
the fact that it's just for $100 you get all digitally for $100?
I could do that now. I mean,
right?
Nothing's stopping me from getting them digitally.
But this is DRM free.
I don't care about that.
Yeah. Okay.
I would need to read them through an app anyway, so it's like, I don't know, who cares?
But as a store owner, does it bother you that they're doing this?
No, I understand why Boom does stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. And it's very... How many new video games are launched via Kickstarter?
Yeah. And this is material that it's not like it's exclusive to Kickstarter. I mean, these editions are, And doing it through Kickstarter allows them to do a lot of different variations they couldn't do through store fulfillment. But it's not like I can't sell Giant Days to someone anyway. Like, we still have the softcover volumes. We sold one online to someone the other day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as a store owner, I'm fine. As a store owner and somebody who would want to have it in my collection, it would be nice to be able to get the wholesale discount on it. That would be super sweet. Not going to happen, but that's fine.
I will
say this, though.
Yeah.
I think them not making the not on the test edition 4 through 7 available to stores is kind of a dick move.
Do you think it's because there were just no orders for those? I mean, we weren't ordering those.
We stock those. We have them. We have 1 through 3 on our shelves.
Yeah.
4 through 7, they never printed.
I assume it's because the orders were just not.
I assume like this. I think they say in this Kickstarter that 4 through 7 are like everything else in this Kickstarter, print to order. So whatever they have orders for, that's what they're going to make, and that's the end of it. That's a thing where I feel like they could have reasonably offered them to stores for, people who have been buying them at stores or were buying them at stores 3 or 4 years ago when the last one came out, could finish off their series.
Yeah.
Like, that's not great. But again, the rest of it, I'm fine with. I don't care. I got other comics to sell. It's fine. I got other Giant Days to sell. It's fine.
You got other bad machinery to sell.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's another John Allison book, in case anybody was wondering what I was talking about.
Yep.
I just wanted to segue into, he's done other stuff that does...
He has, yeah. Him and Max Sarin have done Wicked Things, which is in sort of the same universe as Giant Days. And specifically a sequel to Bad Machinery.
Yeah, it's officially in the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved his explanation of things in the same universe.
Yes. The Charlize Theron universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You exist in the same universe as Charlize Theron. You're not going to interact with her, but she's there.
Yep.
She exists in your universe.
She's somewhere out there.
That's how all of these things exist together in the same one. I did a tiny bit of research into things we could talk about today before we got here, but having to vamp for 15 minutes really threw me off.
I'm sure. What did other people... I mean, I assume you heard about this Kickstarter thing for Giant Days through the larger retailer network. Were people upset about it?
Dallas comic retailers, they're usually upset about it.
I can't imagine the people who'd normally be vocal and upset would even care about a Giant Days Kickstarter.
Would overlap in any way in a Venn diagram.
Yeah, I mean, would they care about a Power Rangers thing? Yeah, probably. Or a Berserker thing? Sure, but Giant Days?
I don't care that Vault did a Kickstarter for the Waste Space hardcover.
No.
I'm happy that the people want that book and can get that book.
Sure.
I do wish there was a retailer component for these levels. There was for the Boom Power Rangers one.
Yeah.
Like for the big, fancy, oversized hardcovers.
Yeah.
Which we would never carry, but we ordered specific ones for a specific employee.
Yes.
So that still counts as a customer having wanted it.
It's true.
Did you hear the terrible news about Carlos Pacheco?
No.
He has ALS.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
The Damage Control #2 cover that he did.
Yeah.
That's his last work.
Oh, gosh, that's sad.
Yeah. That is
one of my favorite Avengers artists.
Just a veteran, journeyman Marvel DC artist. JLA JSA Virtue Vice.
Oh.
The epitome of the Thanksgiving crossover.
Yeah, fantastic book.
Yeah.
His Batman Superman stuff.
Yeah.
His
just an all round
Busiek Superman stuff. His Avengers Forever stuff with Busiek. Like, Carlos Pacheco was, this is going to sound so weird, but he was my George Perez, maybe?
No, that makes sense.
It's not that I couldn't appreciate George Perez, but that was a little early for me. But Pacheco was a guy that when he was hitting his sweet spot and drawing all of these huge stories and all these famous characters, that was where I was able to appreciate the art a little bit more. And Perez had more or less moved on from, the Marvel DC Crisis stuff to do creator-owned works and sex and violence and stuff like that, which was not, as much my thing.
Right.
He would eventually come back to do Avengers and do JLA Avengers and everything else, but yeah, Pacheco, for that mold, Avengers Forever is way more my book.
He was a guy who could do a team book and make every character look different.
Yeah. And just was great at things like body language and facial features and like moving you through the page and just all the tools you need to make a superhero comic work.
His run on Fantastic Four where they moved down to the wharf.
Yeah.
That was great stuff.
Yeah, Pacheco had a few runs that maybe weren't great, mostly because he was working with a writer that was maybe not great, or he was doing more of the plotting, which wasn't necessarily his forte. But in general, like, when he would work with a major writer, he would always elevate their stuff, which is, saying something when you're talking about someone like Kurt Busiek,
Yeah. He is a tremendous talent. And
absolutely.
we are lucky to have had all the work from him that we've had. I hope that we can see testimonials and tributes and art books and collections while he's still around to be appreciated.
Yeah, I'd love to see some oversized stuff from some of the publishers he's worked with.
Yeah, like, I don't know that anyone would ever have done a Carlos Pacheco artist edition, but I'm game for it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would crack into a giant oversized Avengers Forever.
Sure.
Which, I mean, Kang's in that. There's a Kang story. It's a huge Kang story. Put that out. Put that out big.
I had someone in today looking for books specifically with Namor.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a lot more real soon.
Right. But it was a tough call. Like, they had found the... remember that Defenders series of one-shots from like 3 years ago? They found the Namor one in the back issues.
Okay.
Great, take that.
Is it like Ron Garney, Jerry Dugan or something?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. So it's a matter of, what do we have? What can I find? What can we do? I go to old Defenders issues, like, oh no, all the Defenders collections we have are later in like the new Defenders run. All the epic collections
like Gargoyle and
yeah.
Valkyrie and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't even know if... I assume Marvel must have done a Namor epic collection for the Byrne stuff. I'm sure it's not still in print, or it'll be back in print
Regardless,
probably.
we didn't have it.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that series as like the last time he had a series.
No.
So I came up with
Scotty Young
with two... Yeah, the titles. Was it title?
No, it wasn't Scotty Young. Scotty was doing the Human Torch one.
No, Tsunami.
Tsunami, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember who's doing the Namor one.
Anyway, I came up with two choices. The Avengers Defenders War, because that's just a collection of old Avengers and Defenders comics.
Sure.
Namor was a defender.
Yeah.
And then the one they bought, which even I thought was, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't buy this one, just because it was $45. Atlantis Attacks.
Sure, okay. He's not in that a lot.
Right, but he's in it.
Sure.
But it's Atlantis. Yeah.
There might also be like a Black Panther story with Shuri that might have had Namor in it. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I need to be in the shop to look at the shelves and go, oh, right, this one. Yeah, I assume that in the next 45 days we'll be getting a bunch of Namor collections back in stock.
Yep. There was on New to Order today the Wakanda Forever foam bag clips.
Yes, I saw.
That were available.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two different Namor ones.
Mm-hmm.
Stripped down normal Namor
Mm-hmm.
and Namor in crazy ceremonial headdress.
Yeah. The giant headdress is pretty cool.
Right? So it's like, I kind of don't want this to give away too much of what's happening in that movie.
Well, I don't think anything they've shown in the bag clips is stuff that hasn't been shown in the trailer.
Oh, okay. I just remember him in the headdress.
In the headdress, he's underwater at one point. He's like sitting on his
How does it stay on his head then? It should just float away.
Atlantean magic.
Oh, chin strap, like a marching band helmet. Got it.
There you go. Patrick, did you know that we are in the midst of Hasbro Pulse Con? A 2-day event?
I am, because I saw, right before I got here, I saw a classic X-Men wave that had Dark Phoenix, which looked okay.
Sure.
Spiral.
Yep.
Marvel's Avalanche.
Wolverine in the X-Men costume.
Jim League X-Men costume. But the one that I want, and I want many of, and I'm sure he's only going to be one a case, classic Multiple Man.
Okay.
In the green suit.
So there's a figure in that wave that I was really excited about.
Until you saw it.
No, until I realized, I could have skipped out on the $140 box set that I ordered 6 months ago.
Oh.
That had Longshot and Dazzler and Little Wolvie and Mojo.
Yeah.
75% of that box I did not want. And in an elaborate box that I definitely don't want. I could have just bought a $20-something Longshot figure. It's coming out in like March.
Were there more things they announced, or
I don't think so. I think that was about it.
now you may not have been paying attention earlier when I was talking about the massive Marvel Legends list that you had shared with me,
I was not.
which is not carved in stone, but probably from a good source.
Yeah, Hasbro stuff leaks out real easy because any number of vendors are ordering like a year in advance.
Do you think we ordered a year? Like, I don't remember ordering Hasbro for 2023 yet.
We haven't yet, and
That's weird.
Yeah, it might be worth an email to Garrett to be like, hey man, are we doing that soon? Because like there's stuff I want, and I don't want to pre-order it if we're going to order it from a wholesaler.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes we get them months later, if at all. But yeah, I would assume that we would be doing our Hasbro orders very, very soon.
Okay. Usually it's happened by now, but anyway.
Yeah, I again, that's why I would assume it would be soon, because they are opening up to like Big Bad Toy Store and on Hasbro Pulse
Yeah.
orders for things like Transformers stuff that's coming out in March 2023. So I assume that Southern Hobby is going to have to turn their orders in fairly soon, which means they're going to need us to submit our orders fairly soon.
I'm sorry, were there other figures from today that you had heard about?
I don't remember.
Oh, no, you just, I mean, off the top of your head.
I don't think so.
Okay.
There probably were, and I just don't remember.
Did you mention it specifically for the long shot story?
The long shot story?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got burned on that one. I could probably try and cancel it. I've never tried to cancel something from Hasbro Pulse before.
It's my understanding that it's easy to do. People seem to do that all the time when they see figures that we have. They just go in like, oh, I don't want that.
I mean, I've canceled stuff plenty of times from BBTS. They have an interface for it. But Hasbro Pulse, I don't... I guess I could look tonight and be like, hi, I don't want this anymore. You released one figure that I do want from this in a separate wave.
Yeah. And it's not as if they come individually packaged. As you said, they're all in a big box.
Yeah, big TV box that I don't want. Yeah, I definitely don't want that gigantic Mojo. The Dazzler would have been like okay with, and the Exile's little Wolvie I don't care about.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah, from that leaked list, which we don't have in front of us to mention, there was a decent amount of stuff that I was interested in. And I shared it with Gina, and there's a lot that she wants.
Yeah, they've been really good about kind of hitting every possible type of fan. Like, for every, full Black Panther, Wakanda Forever wave, there's going to be a figure or two in there where it's like, these are comic ones. Or like, we got the wave we just got in was all comic characters. There was no one from like an MCU project, I don't think.
Well, the ones we just got in yesterday were all Disney Plus TV shows.
Oh, I was thinking, I didn't realize
see
we got
this.
it.
So, can you guess which figures came out in this wave this week?
I mean, is this the Build-A-Figure Khonshu wave?
No, it's Build-A-Figure Ultimate Ultron.
Oh, right. Hawkeye.
Yeah. There's 7.
Moon Knight.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Jimmy Woo?
No.
I can't do the other 3.
What's on right now?
Oh, is She-Hulk in that wave?
She-Hulk.
Okay. Shulky's in that wave.
What was on right before her?
Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the 7th?
Sharon Carter.
Oh, okay.
Which, it's a great likeness.
Does she come with the body of Ultimate Ultron? Is that how it usually works? Infinity Ultron, I'm sorry.
No, I think it would be Ms. Marvel because she's the smallest figure.
I would figure she would be 2 per case, and so she would come with no parts.
The 2 per case is Moon Knight.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
So...
How's the Mr. Knight figure? Is he good?
No. So can you guess which 2 figures Gina bought?
Hawkeye and Hawkeye?
You're half right.
Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel?
Not to Ms. Marvel.
Hawkeye and Mr. Knight?
Nope.
Hawkeye and Sharon Carter?
Moon Knight.
Okay.
The weird thing about the Moon Knight is he's beige. He's not white.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like old,
That's
decrepit bandage. Like,
sure.
None of us liked Mr. Knight.
Okay.
I think part of it is because there's just too much worn else surrounding it.
Yeah. I mean, I still like that costume a whole lot, and I love the design of it. I love the reinvention of it.
I didn't like the scar down, like the stitching down the face.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think when I saw the 3D model of it, I wasn't crazy about, because that stitching on a figure that small, a head that small, gives it such a weird question mark shape.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, nope. It should have just been a flat surface. I'm sure they'll do a comic version Mr. Knight at some point.
Didn't they already? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
I can't remember either. I can't remember anything. I am delirious, and I have new medication to take thanks to my good pal Dow. So I think that we will call this one very weird, very vampy. Not Vampirella, even though it is, October now.
Spooky month.
Halloween time.
Yeah.
We have a new display of spooky reads up.
Nice.
With so I needed 4 signs for the spooky reads.
Yes.
And at first I'm like, let's go with like creepy Halloween imagery. Great, we got like a jack-o'-lantern, right?
Sure.
Then I'm like, why don't I Google real photos from grisly murder scenes?
As one does.
And then I immediately said, no, we're not using any of these. No, absolutely not.
Safe search back on.
Absolutely not. And then it was like, you know what? I think Son of Satan is a fun character. Let's put him in there.
Yep.
So none of the things correspond to what's actually... Something's killing the children. I use an image from there. But otherwise, like, nothing else is really...
That's okay.
Yeah, I thought it was just for spookiness and fun.
Yeah.
Molly Jane and maybe Alexis picked all of the spooky reads themselves.
Cool. I hope people like them.
Yep. And I hope people liked this so weird episode. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
Cough, 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 cough,
Cough, cough, cough, cough, cough.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.